This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at Little Fish Theater for their presentation of The 39 Steps. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Silent Brown. I am an actor and now a director. I have acted here at Little Fish in about maybe half a dozen shows. I've done Shakespeare by the Sea, which is connected with Little Fish Theater, and then I've just done a lot of theater around LA, as far up in Ventura County as Thousand Oaks, and as far down as here, which is about as far down as you can go. So yeah, actor and fledgling director. This is my first full-length show that I've directed for the Little Fish Theater. It is The 39 Steps. There's something about the style of theater that I really love. It is so simple and straightforward on one level, and on another level it's so complicated and over the top, which is just very intriguing to me. It's highly stylized, it's got a lot of artifice, which I think is just really fun, and it is kind of vaudevillian in its nature. It really just reminds me of those old vaudeville, Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton type shows, which, you know, I'm a huge fan of. So when I read it, I felt like I kind of instantly understood what was fun about the show, that we only have a few set pieces, 4 actors playing hundreds of different roles, we only have a few props, but with those few things we create all these different worlds. So I guess that's a long way of saying that I think it was the theater magic. I love shows that do so much with so little, and this script really offered the opportunity to do that.
If one of my viewers decide to come by and see this, what should they expect to see?
Oh my gosh, everything. So it starts out, it kind of inhabits the world of film noir, spy, espionage. It's based on an old 1930s Alfred Hitchcock movie, black and white. So that's one element that's there. But on top of that, there is an element of farce, element of silliness, fun, crazy, zaniness. So it's kind of merging of the two things, film noir and farce. But I think you kind of walk in not knowing exactly what to expect, and pretty soon on you see that the game of the show is creating worlds out of nothing. So we've got ladders, and we've got a chair, and we've got some doors, and out of that very, very simple set, we create a huge bridge structure, we create a train, we create planes and cars, we go all over with very little. So I would say that, yeah, expect for silly, fun spy espionage show, but be ready to be transported all over England and Scotland with very little.
I've actually seen some theatrical comedy, and it's actually very interesting. I mean, with I think comedy dell'arte, with pantos, with clowns, and also with farce.
Yeah.
And it's, again, it's something not that many people have seen a lot of.
Correct.
I see aspects of it, say, the old Carol Burnett show and the Tim Conway show. Could I have some comments on something like that?
Yeah, so that you're exactly right. So when you say commedia dell'arte, which is a style of theater that I love and is really fun, again, that is just actors creating these characters with nothing but their bodies and their physicality. So I think something that we're used to is being immersed in a world where the scenic design and the lights and the music and everything and the costumes all comes together to create this world. What is interesting to me, and kind of ties into that, is using nothing and creating the world. And so it really challenges the actors to use their imaginations and their bodies to kind of tell that story. So in the same tradition as commedia dell'arte, and I think vaudeville kind of falls into that too, you start getting these actors and kind of theater minds like Charlie Chaplin, the Marx Brothers, that group of that style of entertainment, which is kind of in that same vein of like touring entertainer type, very physical, very imaginative, and I think that's what we were really striving for. And I'm really glad that you picked up on that, actually, because that's exactly the thing that we're trying to do, is to conjure up these old, again, vaudeville, black and white entertainers. Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize that clowns are actually a theatrical instrument, you might say.
Yeah.
They just think of it as a circus.
Right.
Could you educate my audience a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, totally. So what you're speaking about, two of my actors who are named just Clown 1 and Clown 2. And they play, I think, over 100 different characters in this show. So, yeah, when you hear Clown 1, Clown 2, yeah, you think of like Bozo, or you think of the red hair, or the big baggy pants, which is a type of clown, but there is a much older tradition when it comes to clowns, and they are, again, very physical actors who can be all sorts of people and do all sorts of things. So, again, like a traditional clown, I would even go back, again, I know I keep saying Charlie Chaplin, but I would go to him where he puts on a mustache and a hat, and all of a sudden he carries a cane, and he creates this character, the Tramp, and he has a walk, and he has a way of going through the world. And that is what these clowns are. They are two dudes who, with very little, are able to become hundreds of different people just by throwing on a jacket and changing their bodies. And so, yeah, they're definitely tapping into that tradition of what it means to be a clown. Again, going back to Commedia dell'arte and yeah, the Pantalone and all those characters. Yeah.
One more question. What do you look for in your casting?
That's a great question. So with this cast especially, I was really looking for versatility because they are inhabiting so many different characters, and they have to be so many different personalities. So that's just one thing that not a lot of actors can do. So when I saw the people that could do that, I mean, that was a huge, very exciting moment. When they were auditioning, we had them do a couple of different things, and they made big choices. They were bold. They didn't sit back. They leaned into it. They tried to be these different people. And then in the case of the lead man, Richard Hannay, played by Nick Crandall, he's kind of us. He represents the everyman, and he's kind of thrown into this wild, crazy world of German Black Widow spy women and crazy Scottish hotel owners and, evil German Nazi professors. So I was looking for him to be able to ground himself and bring us into the world, to be our voice and to be our in, which he really has done quite incredibly. On top of that, and I was actually kind of surprised because I wasn't looking for this, but every one of the actors, as well as being extremely versatile, are so disciplined and so in charge of their craft and so in control of what's going on that I am stupefied that they were able to make this show happen. I'm an actor. And I'm not sure what it would have been like for me to act in this show, but watching them just boggles my mind because they're always in the right place, always at the right time, they always have the right costume and props, and I mean, that's just 100% them being disciplined and dedicated and passionate about what they're doing. So I couldn't possibly ask for a better group of actors. They've really just taken this, crazy, insane idea and turned it into a real breathing, living thing. So I got lucky. I cast them for certain qualities, but they certainly brought a lot more than I had expected.
Okay, well, I've noticed that, again, a comedy is kind of, I don't know, I've made this comment before that I think the comedy basically on television is actually superior to comedy on theater just because they get paid so much more. I mean, they go through stand-up comics, so they've been before live audiences in improv, and also, I mean, there's so many of them. They get paid so much that all the talent is drained out of the theater, and there's just very few things to pick from. So I've seen some pretty bad comedy, but this was not the case. But this was not the case. I thought this was a good example of comedy.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And that's really just a testament to their talent. The thing about comedy is, and I think a lot of people don't know this, but comedy is so hard to do. I think we think that drama is hard. It's hard to manufacture the tears. It's hard to create the passion. But really, that's just a visceral kind of experience that if you're trained, you can learn how to do that. Comedy, on the other hand, is science. It's rhythm. You have to set up the joke and knock the joke out. You have to hit the beats. You have to look in the right direction at the right time. So it's a much more scientific, specific type of entertainment. And again, I just got really lucky with these guys. They all have great comic chops. They make big choices. No one ever is timid or quiet. They just really go for it. So, of course, there's a lot of fine-tuning and making sure, like, okay, you got to look over here at this time, or you got to take this beat. But when all is said and done, they're just incredibly talented actors, and I really appreciate that comment because I've had so much anxiety. I knew this show was funny, but until actually these past couple of nights seeing it up and having it in front of an audience, I had no idea how funny it is, and I'm constantly being surprised and amazed at the life and the joy that they bring to it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Fantastic to have you here.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
I am Bill Wolski. Good to see you again. I've been acting with Little Fish Theater for 10 seasons now. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Been acting for about 25 years total. Veteran of 100 and something shows, and right now I'm a sweaty mess. I played one of the two clowns in this show. The clowns are the sort of Greek chorus of 39 Steps. Henne encounters all these dangerous and strange and fascinating people along his adventure, and myself and Greg play all of them.
So what's your take on where basically there's a comedian who's the linchpin of the entire story? Everyone revolves around. So in a sense, it's not the lead character who's now the center. It's actually this comedian who guides you through the entire thing and, makes farce out of everything.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, very much in this play, the play is as much about Scotland and the local color and the atmosphere and the things that we can create out of this little black box. And in this case, absolutely, I think Greg and I, as a pair, as a twosome, really, become the atmosphere. We're that long map with the red line going across it and squiggles as the adventure unfolds. And all these strange people who color this adventure. It's a real trip to be able to play them all, and I think that it's a hard job, but Greg and I are that linchpin in terms of how the script is constructed, and hopefully we do that job on stage live as well.
This reminded me a bit of the old Tim Conway show and the Carol Burnett show. Some people might think of that as an insult, but actually it's not. They were actually extremely great theatrical actors. In fact, I believe, I think Sir Laurence Olivier used to watch the Carol Burnett show.
Well, you're not going to insult me by saying that. I won't go so far as to say I'm a student of comedy, but it is something that I truly, truly love. I think that Tim Conway is amazingly funny, both on his show and Carol Burnett's show, because he can make these really big, bold choices and create these sort of preposterous characters that can all be different from each other. And that was my attempt as somebody who gets to play with voices and gets to play with postures and gets to play with certain looks given limited resources. And I think that that's something that is really fun about this show and entertaining about this show is its potential for versatility. You get some versatile actors, some very versatile set pieces that can become more than one thing and have more than one use. And now you've got a formula for something that's going to entertain and, more importantly, surprise. When the ladders become a bridge, when the ladders become a pasture fence, when the ladders become airplanes, all of a sudden you've got people going, oh, wow, I didn't see that one coming. And comedy really is all about surprise.
Okay, once again, I enjoyed your performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to see you again.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with...
My name is Greg Prushevich. Yeah, I'm from Detroit, Michigan originally. Moved out to LA winter of 2013. I went to college at Otterbein University. It's about 50 minutes outside of Columbus, Ohio. And came out here on an internship, loved it, and I'm sticking around. I played one of the clowns, so I had, by my count, something around 13 different characters in the show.
A lot of my viewers aren't that familiar with comedy in theater because, again, it's not done that often.
Sure.
So if one of my viewers decide to come by, what should they expect to see?
They should expect definitely to see big, broad, just huge comedy. I just try to have as much fun as possible. I think we all are, and we want all of our audiences to have as much fun as we're having with us. So, big, huge, broad comedy. Don't take it too seriously. Kind of maybe in the vein of, I like to think Chevy Chase, that big physical style of comedy.
Well, I liked your performance. I liked your comedy. I liked you switching in and out of roles and all that. So it was actually quite well done.
Oh, thank you so much. The switching in and out of roles I kind of take from, I did high school forensics, which is a kind of speech and debate, which I competed in a category called dramatic interpretation, where you take 8 minutes of a play and do every single character, and have to come up with completely different voices, physicalities for all of them. So I kind of got that kind of training, got used to doing that and switching out of all those different characters through that. So it is kind of something that is in my wheelhouse that I don't get to do very often. So this was kind of a really great experience and dream show for me.
Yeah, Robin Williams, I believe he did things like that, and Jim Carrey did things like that, right?
Sure. Robin Williams, Inside the Actor Studio, is actually one of my all-time favorites, because he doesn't even really answer questions. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but he just goes on and takes a scarf and creates probably a dozen different characters out of this scarf and just transforms to the point, and the woman in the front row is actually laughing so hard that James Lipton says she actually had to go to the hospital for a hernia. It's just that ridiculous and that funny. So that's actually a huge inspiration for this as well.
Robin Williams, he was actually a very troubled person, and I'm told from the interviews I've done that actually comedians are actually usually very sad people. You know, the clown laugh type thing.
Sad clown.
Do you think that's true? That you need some kind of tragedy in your life to actually to be able to be very funny, to instead of crying about your pain, you laugh at it?
I don't know if it's necessary, but I definitely think that it helps, and I definitely think that comedians in a lot of ways build that trade up through defense mechanisms. Bill and I were just talking about that backstage earlier today, where sometimes when you're bullied as a kid, your best defense is to kind of take those jokes first and make fun of yourself before other people have a chance to. And you learn to use your wit that way, and it's a great defense mechanism. And so I think it definitely helps in some ways, but I don't think it's completely necessary. I mean, personally, I don't consider myself to be a very sad or depressed person, but it definitely helps inform some of the decisions and the choices that you make.
Well, I thought the piece was a good classical example of theater, and this is basically what you expect from classical comedy and all that.
Sure.
And I've seen bad comedy, and this was not the case. It was actually quite good.
Good.
Right. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, and thanks for coming by and doing the interviews.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Bridget Garwood. I grew up in Maryland, Washington, D.C. area. Started doing some theater when I was in middle school. I was a Winky for the high school production of The Wiz, actually. And then fell in love with Romeo and Juliet, and kind of that was all she wrote after that. So my parents let me major in acting for college. I went to the University of Maryland. And then I came out here afterwards and have been kind of doing the thing ever since then. I play 3 characters. I play Pamela, who is sort of the main love interest. I play Annabella Schmidt, who is like the Mata Hari, like spy lady, German. And I play Margaret, who is the innocent Scottish lass.
If one of my viewers decide to come here and see the show, what should they expect to see?
I think you expect a good time. It's kind of a madcap spy story with nice, really fast pace. So it takes Alfred Hitchcock's traditional movie, The 39 Steps, and it really just transposes it to the theater. They add maybe, I think, 1 or 2 scenes at the most, and turns it on its head and creates this really kind of souffle of like fun capers and crazy jokes, and takes the audience and fast-moving furniture, and it's just a really good time.
A lot of my viewers aren't that familiar with comedy in theater, just because, again, they don't do it that often, and again, I guess it's not as popular and all that. But it's actually extremely complicated, and there's so much competition with television and movies because they get paid so much more and all that. So again, but actually it's a good treat to actually see good comedy, because it's very classical, it's very traditional.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. Although it is kind of similar it reminds me a little bit of sitcom acting. So if you're used to the traditional sort of sitcoms where they're very more broad, less like understated stuff, not like Veep, but more like Mom or How I Met Your Mother, stuff like that. I would liken this show as like a theater equivalent to that as far as comedy goes, where once you get indoctrinated into the world, which you try to do kind of quickly, and you realize that we're talking directly to the audience and we're moving furniture and nothing is set up, I feel like it's easy to buy into the comedy aspect and really just kind of enjoy this thing that's being built and constantly changed in front of you, and the kind of craziness of all of the actors changing their hats on stage and people running on and running off. I think it's a really awesome experience because you get fed by the crowd and the actors, and so it's a really different than watching TV, because it's a really kind of an energy thing, I think, which is the best part for me as an actor in theater, is really feeling the audience's responses and kind of being able to respond to those in the moment on stage.
It actually reminded me of the old Tim Conway show.
Oh gosh, which one? I'm not sure I know.
The Carol Burnett, Tim Conway show, that one.
Okay, cool. I'm a little bit, I think, before my time slightly, but I love Carol Burnett. Like, she's hilarious. And I think there's a little bit of Monty Python bits in there. We even use the Flying Circus for some of our theme music. And I grew up on stuff like that, Monty Python and a lot of the broad stuff. So it's fun for me as an actor not to get stuck in that like drama and whatever, and be able to be really big and like very character-y. It's a nice change of pace.
I usually ask this of women when they deal with classical pieces. What do you think about it? Was this a challenging character? Was it very stereotypic? Do you think it portrayed women in a good, was it a strong female character? What do you think?
Well, that's kind of always the struggle for me as a woman, and as I like to say, a self-described feminist, is to find the heart of the person and not give it short shrift as far as characters go. That being said, I feel like a lot of these characters are very archetypal, sort of like vaudevillian characters, and very classic, just the way they're written by nature and the way that they're based off of real people in the movie. So it's like that like Mata Hari spy or that like innocent farm girl. Everybody can conjure images of those. So for me, the balance was finding the reality of them and then just heightening all of that. That being said, Pamela, I think, is the heart of those women characters, and she is a real person. And so I feel like trying to find the moments where she really fell in love with Hane and where she was really upset with him and like her situation kind of grounds it a little bit, so it's not all sort of up in the air and crazy ridiculousness. There's a heart and there's a love story there that's really hopefully moving. Yeah.
Okay, well, I enjoyed your performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Nick Crandall. I'm from Minneapolis originally. Lived there until I went to college. I went to school in Colorado. Lived in San Francisco for a year after I graduated, doing some theater there. And then after a couple years back in Minnesota, I went to graduate school for acting at the American Repertory Theater in Boston. And since then, I've been out in LA, just doing film and TV and theater when I can. And I played Richard Hannay. I think he is an aristocrat, kind of a trust fund baby who's never had to work and has spent his life kind of traveling around, trying to amuse himself with his rich friends. And he's grown to be, close to middle-aged and doesn't really have anything to show for it. No wife or family, and he starts the show in a pretty dark place, but quickly gets wrapped up in this whirlwind sort of spy chase and sort of finds himself through that adventure.
Yeah. So what's your take on comedy in theater? There's some people who've never seen comedy in theater before.
I think comedy is always the best when the people performing it are completely truthful and committed to what they're doing, and the comedy comes out of that. And with this show, I think that's there, but it also has a style, like a heightened style put on top of it. So the show is completely ridiculous and silly, but I think that the characters are still somehow grounded in reality and real motivation, and that's and the actors too are a part of this show. Like the show is aware of itself. So I think in this case, some of the comedy comes from the delight in watching the actors have fun with this material, which is just so silly and out there.
Do you think it's as educational, the comedy is as educational as, say, the more dramatic? The comedy is the weak sister part of theater. No one appreciates it. It's not as popular. It's not out there compared to, say, like Ibsen or Chekhov or Shakespeare. That's it's almost like people kneel to that. So what do you think about that?
I mean, I think they both serve a purpose. I think that people like to laugh and like to see comedies. I know I have respect for them, and I think that they're actually quite difficult to pull off. So maybe that's something that people don't quite appreciate. But I don't know. Everyone loves to laugh, and I think it's important to provide that for people. So.
Well, I've seen some pretty bad comedy, but this was not the case.
Oh, thank you.
It was okay. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
The 39 Steps will be playing at Little Fish Theater from April 28th to May 19th. For more information, go to www.littlefishtheater.org.